We're back.
Okay.
So today let's talk about our experience with banks,
Yes.
financial institutions, and
In
why.
today's day and age,
Yeah, and
July 2023.
I believe personally that the big banks and brick and mortar structures and all that we grew up seeing are a thing of the past.
I agree with you, and it's very scary for me.
So what just happened? We went to a bank right now.
I went to the bank because even though I have online banking, there's a few things, a couple of things, there's a few of them that I cannot do on online. I guess I could, but the carriers, anyway, there's specifications by the different carriers, and the business world is changing completely. The real estate world, the insurance world. You see how so many insurance companies are leaving the state of California, and if they're not leaving it, they are restricting business to the point that it's almost choking the people that are new in business in terms of being sales agents. So
And it's giving the consumers less options.
less options, which is, I think, the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Because, if a business opens up and they provide a good service and they're competent, I think that business has the ability to move forward. Okay? But if a business opens up and they're incompetent, they're going to go down. Okay? But that's been a cycle forever. Now we've got, to a certain extent, a lot of government intervention, which is a problem. And we do need some government intervention, but who knows the answer and how much? When the consumer has less choices, just exactly like you said, that is not good. It's not good.
At least in this situation.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I would venture to say in many situations, actually.
Yeah. Because having, let's say, 10 choices versus 3, potentially the 10 choices, they compete with each other, and so you would think it would drive the price down because they're competing with each other.
I would agree. And by competition, it's been said, competition brings about excellence. Okay?
The best in us.
The best in us.
Yeah.
You need to, in order to survive in the capitalist market, so to speak.
Yeah.
But what happened right now is we go to the bank because I need to do a couple transactions in the bank itself, in the physical building, brick and mortar, as they say. And when we get there, there is one teller and literally 20 people in line. Literally.
Yeah.
20 people in line and one teller. So
Yeah.
what did you and I do?
We walked out.
We walked out.
Well, we were there waiting, and everybody in the line, I was looking at their body language and their faces. They're like, sad and hunched over and everything, and they've probably been there waiting for a while.
Right. Well, the lady that was at the window had all kinds of stuff going on and stacks of God knows what money, I would imagine, that needs to be counted and put on the little machine. And so it looked like she was going to be there a while longer. And then I got 20 people in front of me. So we walked out.
Yeah, and maybe some of those were together, right? There was couples that were together. So,
okay, so
maybe
16 people, 15 people.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. But one teller. And
one teller.
Other people working at the bank. But this has been happening for years. And banks tend to want, most of these big banks, the big named banks here in California, tend to want to take you to the ATM and have you do your things digitally instead of you going to a teller. And so, yeah, when I walked in there and I saw that, I thought, what a complete waste of time.
Oh, a total waste of time. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we had the agency, or we still have one of the agencies. I don't want to confuse anything, but we had a couple of agencies and we sold one. I remember that one specific vendor forced us to go to a major bank in California to make deposits daily.
You couldn't just go to any bank, first a credit union or anything.
You couldn't go to any bank. It was one specific bank that they had a contract with, and if you wanted to represent that carrier, you had to abide by those rules, and those rules were, hey, You go,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It had to be that big bank.
It had to be that big bank.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you couldn't go anywhere else. They had a nationwide relationship, let's say, with that bank, and so that you had to go there. There was
Well,
no way around it.
But they used to be, banks used to be a powerhouse in the sense that you would go in there and you could handle a lot of things and the service was great. You know, I wasn't really there in that time so much where,
I was,
but you were there, right?
and
It was
I
like,
missed that.
it was a special treatment.
Oh, it definitely was.
That's gone.
It's gone. I miss it
When
very
do you
much.
think it went away? That, when do you think that went away, that service?
10 years ago, 2023, 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Do you think it
A
was
whole decade. for
tied
sure.
to the crash of '08 or
No, even
07,
after 08, I was still, let's see, 2023.
Just your
2017.
experience.
I would say a decade ago. Yeah, even
Yeah.
after even after the crash of '08, we were still getting good service. The banks were hurting. Everybody was hurting. You know, that was a major thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because we were talking about earlier the different banks that are no longer the Countrywide Home Loans, the IndyMac Bank. Countrywide, I don't think was an actual.
yeah, there was I forget, Pacific Bank,
Washington Mutual.
Washington Mutual, but Pacific Bank was a really good bank. They had exceptional service, and they had that reputation.
You
Pacific
used
Bank.
to talk about a savings and loan.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they're gone.
they're gone. Yeah, they're
So-
gone, and the service was excellent.
That was a different world. I didn't experience that.
I did, and
Yeah.
I miss it extremely, very much.
Yeah.
You had your own personal banker.
You had a relationship.
You had a relationship with that person. That person knew your ins and outs, and they would be able to tell you, yeah, you're gonna get this loan, you're not gonna get this loan, and you had people really working on your behalf. There was one particular property that I wanted to get really badly, and I didn't qualify for it. I wasn't making enough money, and my banker went out of her way to put this deal together, and it was done properly, and it went through underwriting. And had she not been creative, we would not be sitting here today.
Wow.
We would be sitting somewhere else because I didn't have enough money to purchase that property.
So that's the power of a relationship. Because you
That's the
made
power
good.
of
You
a
made good
relationship.
on that loan that she gave you.
I made good on that loan, but I got that loan because of her.
See, and that's the thing, that if you have a relationship with somebody, you're able to see it's not just based on the structure that a corporation gives you. Like we were talking to a gentleman yesterday that
His
didn't
name is
get
Manolo.
hired. Well, no, I was thinking a gentleman that didn't get hired with the company that you got hired with because they were so structured.
Oh,
And he didn't pass this test of qualities of a good sales agent.
Now he's in loans.
He's in loans now, but he failed the test twice, he said.
Right.
And they weren't willing to. If you didn't pass that test, this was in the 80s, 1980s.
That's right.
They couldn't hire you. And they
1986.
They weren't willing to overlook that, which is silly. He's been successful.
It's interesting that we talked to him, and his father is an exceptional salesman, I think. No nonsense type of guy, straight to the point. Okay. I have a little bit of different approach. Okay, but he was excellent. He continues to be. And I picked a lot of pointers from this gentleman. And this, of course, is in the insurance world. But correct me if I'm wrong, that he modeled after his dad. So he would answer every question according to what he thought.
On the assessment.
On the assessment.
Or what a good sales agent
Right.
was. and he was thinking of his dad
Right.
because his dad was very successful, 30
Right.
years with the company.
Right.
So when they would say, "Is a successful sales agent a good dresser?" like suit and tie or whatever, and he thought, "No, my dad doesn't
Necessarily,
necessarily
yeah, dress with
so
suit
he
and
would
tie.
put no on that.
And so I remember I passed that test that he failed twice. That doesn't make me better in any way or form.
Right.
But I had a real good coaching on that.
Mm.
And what I just before taking that assessment test, I remember this guy telling me, just think, read the question, and then think what they would want you to answer. Don't think what you want to answer. Don't put down what you want to answer,
Yeah.
because you might not make it.
Who creates this stuff?
Uh,
Yeah. Who creates these tests?
I,
And how do
I,
they gauge that that's going to be a successful person?
I have
or
no
not?
idea.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I passed that test the first time around, and that wasn't me.
Right. It's you forced you to answer what was.
It wasn't me. I answered exactly how my buddy told me, and he was in management, and he said, "Hey, answer it the way you would think that they, give them the answer that you think that they might want."
Right.
And I go, "Whoa, how about giving them my answer?" "No, you give them your answer, you might not make it. And you've been around for a while. I was studying, and you needed to get hired. I wanted to get hired by this major company."
Yeah.
And just to make it a point, the young man that we met yesterday, which is my age, I mean, he's young compared to his dad, right? He's very successful,
Yeah.
and so is his father.
Yep.
So you can take those tests and dump them, because they have no way of measuring the willpower, the energy, the ganas that you put into the business.
But
Maybe some of them do, but not that one. I'll tell you that.
when you say
Sorry.
you can take those tests and dump them, this is a corporation,
Yes, a major,
huge publicly traded corporation.
national.
That gets
statewide.
someone gets the idea we should do this assessment test, and whoever that person was, maybe gets a promotion or great idea, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then they weed out good people too. So it's silly.
And yesterday in the conversation with him, we said it's probably the best thing that ever happened to you,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, this insurance company that we're talking about today is having major problems.
Yep.
And just by coincidence, at the end of the day, when we went shopping, Mom and I, we met this other
Oh
gentleman.
yeah.
And him and I totally agree. He's been with that company, I believe, 48 years or 47. And we just had a conversation outside the supermarket, and we were talking for about a good 30 minutes. And he said, I said to him first, it was a great company. It was really a very good company. I was proud to work for that company.
Yeah.
And he said, so was I. He said, but management totally destroyed it.
Wow. From the top up.
From
the
the
top down.
top down.
From the top down.
Management
Destroyed it.
destroyed it.
I think that you could do a case study.
Oh God, could we ever?
We're not naming the company.
We're not naming the company.
And this could apply to many
companies.
Like, how do some of these huge companies all of a sudden overnight they're gone?
Their book value, and it was interesting. He's talking about. I think the company was really. I think the company is on life support.
Yeah.
But yet, there are institutions out there, because the shares of these company are sold, are still buying shares of this company. The company is still looked at as a
strong
a
company.
major player, and yet this isn't.
Well, going back to the banks, because I wanted to share that, I had shared it with you, that I went to this huge bank in the city of Orange,
Okay.
California.
Oh.
Orange County, and This was a bank that was like, when you see these banks that were built 100 years ago,
You mean the buildings?
the building,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot
and
of character,
oh,
columns galore, with the
columns.
ornate.
The ceilings are, they don't make properties like this anymore. They
No.
don't build them like that. I mean,
No.
they had these tiles, I guess you could say, large, almost maybe like 14, 15 inch,
Yeah, maybe even out of
Uh,
ceramic. Yeah,
out of
maybe.
ceramic. And like when you walk into these old buildings, actually, that reminds me, the baker.
Yes.
The baker, a friend, has a building like that where these tiles come down. They
Right.
look gold painted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
It's a different era.
It's a different era, and I walk into this bank and it's a coffee shop, and I start walking around and I recorded it. You see the safe and the bulletproof glass behind the tellers, all empty. You see the cubicles where maybe the loan people were personal bankers, all empty, and the coffee shop is just using the lobby
Of what
seating
used to be the bank.
of what used to be a huge bank in the city of Orange.
See, I see that and it saddens me.
It's sad. It's repurposing, which
Yeah.
new life comes, which is
Right.
which is the cycle of business. But this bank wasn't able to keep it. It
Yeah.
wasn't able to keep it together, and I personally think that it will get to all of these banks.
Well, it's a problem
Yes.
because, they're talking about digital currency, and I have accounts in several banks, and I've gone into all of them, okay, and I've made my own little research, and I purposely asked each. I've got 5 banks that I bank with, maybe 6. And I have gone to each teller in each bank when I've been there doing whatever transaction. And I've asked them, hey, have you heard about this thing, digital currency? No? They're completely oblivious.
I'm
Completely
oblivious.
oblivious.
I'm oblivious.
Even the
of it.
managers. Okay, because in 2 of them, or maybe 3 of them, 2 of them for sure, I spoke to the managers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's supposed to be rolling out in July this month, and we're supposed to be using it by December or something of this nature, and everybody is oblivious about it. But I think it's a major problem.
The U.S. digital dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a Forbes article. Maybe we can put it in the description. But will the U.S. launch a digital dollar? The U.S. is the U.S. quietly edging toward adoption of a digital dollar? In March 2022, the president issued an executive order. Blah blah.
Well, supposedly New York is already using some of it
Okay.
this month.
They're calling it CBDCs. They resemble cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
I think it's a problem
Okay.
because
I don't know. I don't know anything about
Neither
it.
do I. I don't know enough about it, but I think it has the potential of controlling what we do with our money because
not
it's
good.
all numbers.
Well, that's
What if I
one-
want to buy something that whoever they are not in agreement with,
Well,
or I mean,
that's the thing with cash. That the benefits of cash is, you've always said it. You need to carry cash on you, right? And
yeah.
you need to have at least a little bit of cash on you, because in the event of an emergency, a credit card will resolve things.
Well, I've gone to places where their credit card readers are down,
yeah.
and how do you buy food there
You know,
at the
it's
moment?
interesting. I went to
Well, we went to that restaurant, remember? And then they brought me the old paperwork with my
yeah.
credit card number on it and my date of birth,
the
and
reader was down,
because the reader is down.
and you
I
paid with
had cash, and I said, let me have this. All the copies were there, 3 of them, right? And I said, I don't feel comfortable leaving this. I'm gonna pay cash. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That just happened.
Over a year ago, I remember going to the Honda Center, also in Orange County. I don't know if it's
Where you went?
the Honda Center
Okay.
for a concert. And I remember I had cash on me, and I tried buying whatever, pizza or whatever they had there. And they don't accept cash at the whole Honda Center. They didn't accept cash. None of the vendors in in the arena accept cash. They only work on credit card. So cash is also useless
It is.
if someone's not willing to take it.
Well, I went to a couple places. I can't think of it, but I remember,
Yeah, a lot of places say cash only. I mean, I'm sorry, credit card only.
Yeah, they wouldn't take my cash.
No, they don't want it.
And it was a measly petty.
Think about it.
It was under $10.
You gotta go to the bank, which is not gonna exist soon, to stand in line to deposit that cash.
Correct.
Nobody wants that.
And if you want to withdraw a large sum of money, you are not going to be able to.
Good luck.
Good luck with that.
You need some sort of what is it, like they grant some sort of permission or okay. The manager has to okay it. Yeah.
Right.
So, anyways, we just thought we talk on it because we need banks.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this digital thing is scary, at least to me.
But the banks are maybe trying to adapt to survive, and they have this idea that they don't need tellers anymore and all that.
Well, I'll tell you this: but you have business structures that are in need of the brick and mortar. For example, when you open an LLC, you need to open an account for whatever monies are received in the form of revenue to be deposited into the account that's slated for that LLC.
You have to create an account for it.
And how do you do that? Are you going to do that online?
I mean,
you have to go to the bank to do it. But nowadays, you need an appointment with a banker. Yeah. You just can't walk in and say, "Oh, I have my documents of incorporation or the LLC, documentation." I'm sorry, I can't see you till next week. Oh, really? Well, what happens with the money that needs to be deposited so that this particular LLC begins to function because we already got it approved with the state?
Right.
Oh, well, then you either find yourself another bank because...
Credit union.
There's some credit unions that won't do it. Because I walked out of there and went to a credit union and they don't do business type. They don't do business stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got limitations all over the place. But in the old days, you still had limitations.
Yeah.
But not like this. You had bankers that were willing to help and were able to get creative and find ways of doing things for the public, for their clients.
Yeah.
And you had a relationship with them. I miss that. You didn't get to see that, but I did.
Because even though I was in 20, you're saying 10 years ago, I honestly think it goes a little bit.
You might be right. Further. 15 years.
Yeah, which takes us to
what?
2008.
2008.
2009. I don't know how it was prior to that, because I was, I was under 20 years old, so I didn't really have a.
Yeah, it might be. It might be 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe 15, even 20 years ago, you started seeing the changes in the year 2003.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, you start seeing things starting to shift, but you still had personal relationships with bankers prior. I remember prior to 2008, and maybe even into 2009, 2010. So it was in that somewhere between 13 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah, I mean, they were, you had their phone numbers, you had their cell phones. I never abused it, but they were willing and able to help you and get creative, like I said, and resolve things for you.
Yep.
I miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be able to go in and it would be completely different, man. They would have a cup of coffee for you. It felt like, you were going to meet your cousin.
You're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and they loved to do it. They were there. And, even today, there are a few of the older guys and older ladies that are in the bank that still have that kind of service mentality
Right.
Okay, um, that I appreciate. They're limited by what they can do. Okay, for example, there's one major bank where if you want to do something in the commercial arena, cannot be handled by the local branch. It has to be handled by some guy that I've never met. It's out in the boondocks somewhere, and everything has to be done by email or phone.
Yeah.
And
It
how
doesn't work.
impersonal is that?
Yeah, it doesn't work for you. You want a relationship.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Well, I'm old fashioned when it
yeah.
comes to that kind of stuff, and I was
No.
exposed to it and I miss it. What
Yeah,
can I tell you?
I think they need to cater to both. They need to cater to both. They can't just completely take away all the service and in-person situations, but they also need to have the ability to do online. But it seems like everybody's being crammed into this online thing, and
Mm-hmm.
some people aren't there yet, and they're losing those people. And these big banks have rents,
Oh,
huge leases. Maybe some of them own the property, but it doesn't make sense to keep that property anymore.
right.
We've seen vacant banks. There's one
For lease all
specifically,
over the
yeah,
place.
there's one specifically I'm thinking of that near Arcadia that has been for lease forever,
The building.
years. The
Mhm.
building.
Yeah.
So, but if we look at the cycle, something will come into place and replace these guys, and hopefully
Right.
it's something better.
Let's hope so. I mean, I can understand the younger generation grows up with these things in their hands. They know
Yeah.
how to use it better than
Yeah.
us, the older folks. They get into all kinds of things, right?
Yep.
So they, they get on the computer and they do everything, but it's, I guess they call it progress, you know. But I'll tell you that it was very gratifying to go to the bank and meet your banker, he or she very well dressed with the suit and tie, the gentleman and the lady, and a handshake. Sit down. Hey, did you have coffee already? Let me get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do
so
you like that personal touch?
what brings you here today? Hey, this account, we're looking at this property, blah, blah, blah. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Those
miss
days
it.
are long gone.
When I go to the bank today, we walked out. We walked out. You got one teller,
and they
and
probably,
let's say there's 15 people ahead of us.
they probably didn't even notice.
And they don't care.
That's another problem.
Yeah, that's the bigger problem.
Right.
You don't care. And so,
Well, it seems like everybody at the bank, and we have friends at the bank too, and there are exceptions, but they don't seem happy with what they're doing.
they don't care. And so, you know,
All the regulation, all this, rules that are imposed on them, the tellers.
It's a different
I have
world.
a buddy at a bank. We have a buddy at a bank that every single time he makes a call to a customer, an outbound call, he has to open with the exact script, word for word. If not, he gets dinged a couple times and you're fired. You have to name this. That's the regulation that's been put onto these guys.
now
That's
that you
horrible.
say that, I'll tell you this. There was a,
Where's the individuality?
yeah, I'm telling you. So now that you say that, this big insurance company that I worked for, they had a way to answer the phone, and they gave us a script to answer the phone. And I remember one time sitting in front of my staff and saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is the way you have to answer the phone, blah, 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 blah. And we had someone called a mystery
Shopper.
and that was that particular insurance company getting someone to call on purpose to the different agencies to see if they were following the format that they had passed down that we had to do. And I remember picking up the phone and failing.
Oh.
So I got the
The
standards.
report.
I sit in front of my staff. I tell them this is the way you guys got to answer, and then they would record that phone call and send it back to you. And
That's funny.
there were 5 points that you had to cover, and on that particular phone call, I only did one. you know, just one.
Yeah.
And so, but here I am sitting down telling the staff, this is the way you have to, this is the way you have to do it. And I failed
You
it
lose all
miserably.
credibility.
Miserably. I failed it miserably. You know, you get busy, this and that. You pick up the phone, hi, this is Pablo, can I help you, blah, blah, blah. And you forget about
Yeah.
the format. And
That's
it was
how I do.
funny. And it was a joke that followed me for years because I actually shared it with the staff.
Yeah.
And everybody was cracking up and laughing and oh my god, you know.
Yeah.
So but you reminded me of that.
That's
You know,
funny.
something that
Yeah.
I lived anyway. So I hope that things change for the better. I'm concerned about that digital currency that's coming down the pike apparently, and
Time.
how I want to have the freedom to do with my money whatever I want. And I have a feeling that we can potentially be controlled because essentially what they are is zeros and ones, you know, that binary codes that provides all your statements and so forth. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a brave new world.
No doubt about it.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.